Toto Wolff has just lit a fire under his squad, and given how poorly Mercedes has fared recently, controversy is the last thing they need right now. But Toto Wolff responded, "Hold my beer," referring to George Russell, indicating he doesn't think he's as good as Hamilton. Stick around to find out what Toto said and an analysis of if Mercedes can win with only a few races remaining. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff has suggested that Lewis Hamilton and George Russell's relationship is weird in F1 terms because the former is happy to mentor the latter. The Austrian acknowledged that the dynamic isn't perfect, but one incident has left him concerned that things could go wrong on the track. Russell was promoted from Williams to join Hamilton and Mercedes, while Valtteri Bottas moved to Alfa Romeo. The kid has also outperformed expectations, finishing fourth in the Drivers' Championship, ahead of Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and, most importantly, Hamilton himself. Both Hamilton and George need to work on their racing chemistry. Respect is extremely beneficial to both drivers, and as the respect of a novice who recognizes his teammate as the greatest driver of all time is the best chemistry to have. And Lewis has great admiration for George and sees himself in George, who is maturing both in skill and age. As strange as it may sound, because your teammate is your first rival, Lewis mentors George in certain ways, and George embraces the position of a young lion, yet both of them still want to defeat each other and win races and championships. That dynamic complements each other extremely nicely. Hamilton and Russell are both vying to be the best, with Max Verstappen leading the 2022 Drivers' Championship. However, neither Mercedes driver has won a Grand Prix this season, and with there not being many races left, Mercedes will need to improve and improve quickly. Russell is still hunting for his first F1 triumph, while Hamilton aims to maintain his unrivaled feat of winning a Grand Prix every year of his career. Although the chances of continuing that streak look to be fading, the Brit recently stated that he wouldn't be too disappointed if the triumph doesn't come this season. "I don't see it as a dry period," Hamilton said after finishing 8th in the recent Singapore Grand Prix. "I believe this has been a year of progress for me. It was a positive experience for everyone. With only a handful of races remaining, let's hope Hamilton and Russell can work together to reverse the course of Mercedes." Meanwhile, Toto Wolff has revealed that Lewis Hamilton will sign a new 5-year contract with Mercedes. The Britain's current deal with the Silver Arrows runs through the conclusion of next year's championship, so an extension would carry him to 2027. Hamilton shares the record for the most F1 titles with Michael Schumacher with 7. However, he's been out of contention this season owing to an uncompetitive W13, restricting his prospects with Mercedes to compete for the record 8th title. The 37-year-old is the second oldest driver on the grid, trailing only Fernando Alonso, although Wolff has claimed that Hamilton plans to race far into his 40s. Wolff feels his squad is founded on trust and efficient communication, so if Lewis decides to leave to make room for the new generation, it will be his decision. Hamilton took a risk by leaving McLaren to join Mercedes ahead of the 2013 season, which paid off as the German manufacturer became the most dominating in the sport's history. But here's the hilarious part. Wolff believes another Lewis championship will be awarded before Russell gets his, which is a low blow even for Toto Wolff. George Russell is on track to conclude his debut season as a Mercedes driver ahead of 7-time world champion teammate Lewis Hamilton. Toto Wolff, the team principal at Mercedes, believes Lewis Hamilton will win a record-breaking 8th Formula One title before his teammate. Hamilton has won 6 of his 7 titles with Mercedes, and he just missed another last year due to contentious circumstances. Russell joined Mercedes this year and currently leads his teammate by a significant points difference. Neither driver has won a race this year, as Mercedes W13 has been the least competitive vehicle since the V6 hybrid turbo era started. Wolff quipped that Russell got that timing wrong by joining Mercedes during a season in which they were primarily playing catch-up and rarely in contention for a win. Wolff told Channel 4 that he expects the team's current driver lineup to restore them to title contention. "We just need to supply them with the car so they can win races and titles," he explained. "If we can achieve that, George can become a world champion and Lewis can add to his 7 titles. It all boils down to how well we can work together." Russell gained his first F1 points in a cameo with Mercedes in 2020, almost winning the Sakir Grand Prix in Bahrain, and has placed on the podium 7 times since joining the team full-time. He won the Hungarian Grand Prix from the pole position and then finished second in the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort following a battle with Hamilton. This year, the two drivers have only met a few times on the track. Russell passed Hamilton during a late race safety car period, unlike his teammate in one of their more fierce clashes for a position at the Dutch Grand Prix. Russell will hopefully be able to show Wolff that he is more than what Wolff views him to be. But regardless of Mercedes' present chances, everyone has a question. Will Lewis Hamilton or George Russell break the 2022 winless streak in the final races, as Mercedes continues to quest for a win amid a challenging year? Sky F1's Mark Hughes examines their chances in the next races. Lewis Hamilton has won a race in each of his 15 Formula One seasons. Mercedes' 8 consecutive years of dominance came to an end this season. That is impressive, but the team's failure to win a race thus far is even more so. They will work hard to achieve so in the final events, but even that is far from certain. Although the team now understands the troublesome W13 much better than earlier in the season and knows they can get very respectable performances out of it at the right tracks, those that allow it to run with a low ride height. They also know the car's limitations are baked in. Red Bull and Ferrari are much more versatile performers across all tracks. When ride heights are raised, the Mercedes looks to lose more downforce than the Ferrari and particularly the Red Bull. Furthermore, its rear suspension does not allow for the comfort of larger rear ride heights required to bring it out of the bouncing zone. Hamilton claims the finale of the Italian Grand Prix reminded him of his championship decider against Max Verstappen in Abu Dhabi in 2021. There is no certainty that Lewis Hamilton or George Russell will win their next races, since they will almost certainly have to defeat 2 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris. However, it is a feat that appears far more attainable now than earlier in the season, when the team struggled to comprehend how to access the car's capabilities. And Sergio Perez's late season troubles with Red Bull, as it's evolved away from the understeering balance he favored, means that a Mercedes might outpace at least one fast vehicle in form. Furthermore, Ferrari's recent tire consumption issues have meant that the red cars frequently cannot duplicate their qualifying form even if they attain reliability. So it's just Max Verstappen's Red Bull that can nearly always be super fast on every circuit. A Mercedes victory outside any weather-randomized set of conditions is thus contingent on their finding a way past that set of competitive circumstances elsewhere. They can also focus on improving their performance at each tournament. When the circuit layout is smooth enough to allow the vehicle to be set up very low, the W13's relative strength is in high-speed, lengthy turns. Singapore is not one of these tracks, although Austin may be. The automobile may also be speedy around slow bends, but only if the circuit layout does not feature fast corners. As a result, Abu Dhabi and Interlagos are unlikely to be perfect. Despite Red Bull's formidable track record, Mexico may not be that awful. Last season showed that Mercedes PU no longer struggles in Mexico's thin air. As such, downforce will be the dominant factor, especially considering that drag is not penalized harshly because of the thin air, partially neutralizing a crucial Red Bull advantage. Mercedes, Hamilton, and Russell supporters could expect a mix of the W13 being in a sweet spot for the races in Barcelona, Silverstone, and Zandvoort, while Ferrari continues to struggle with their tires. Then all it needs to do is compete with and defeat Verstappen. Do you think Toto Wolff's brutal response to Russell was necessary or not? Comment below.